G'day! In today's video I'm saying goodbye to the MSI Sword 15. Now, I'm filming in my shed. You may hear the dogs, you may hear cats, you may hear the rain, but anyway, let's proceed. So I've owned the laptop now for around about 2 months, and during that time I've mainly played Battlefield 5 on there. I've used it just for light video editing. I've watched a couple of movies on there. Granted, on battery, that does not really happen. And I'm going to go over mainly why I've chosen to get rid of this particular laptop. Granted, all the videos, all the laptops I've reviewed on my channel are all paid for with my own money, so I do feel that that gives it a bit more weight. So these aren't sponsored videos where I've received a laptop for X amount of time. It's me physically buying it new, using it, reviewing it, and then selling it off from there. So this particular one I paid around $2,200 Australian, and that was at the time of launch. It's running a i7 11800H, 16 gig of RAM, 500 gig of storage, a 3060, which is currently, I'm forgetting which wattage it is, I believe it's an 80 watt one in this particular model. And gaming wise, it's been great. Keyboard wise, a bit lackluster. I found that it only displays or lights up red on this particular model. If you've got the white version, it lights up blue. This is the black version of the Sword 15. There is also the Katana, but that one is a slightly different revision. Anyway, the biggest thing I found with the MSI was that the overall value of it just simply was not there at that price. So what I mean with that is the overall value of the machine is that it's 2,200 Australian dollars. The previous machine I went from was an Acer Nitro 5 with an i5, I think it was 10500H, and also a 95 watt 3060. Also 144Hz 1080 resolution screen. It had a full RGB keyboard, or zone RGB keyboard. So 4 zones, you can customize the colors. This you cannot, you only have red. So for that simple fact, and also being around about, I think at the time it was about 800 Australian dollars difference, so probably roughly 500 US dollars. The amount of gaming performance I'm getting from the MSI compared to the much cheaper Nitro 5 is simply not there. I found the frame rate overall might have been up to about 20% difference in FPS. Granted, most games it's going to be GPU bound as opposed to CPU bound, especially playing first person shooters like myself. So I just find that that's really not one good thing for the MSI. The other thing I found was the overall battery life was considerably poor, struggling to get over 2 hours. That's a simple YouTube playback, so it's not even gaming or intense tasks, light tasks. It was just simply failing to get a decent battery life out of this machine, which makes it extremely hard to recommend. Overall, I just felt like it was an expensive machine that really brought not much new to the table. It didn't have a higher wattage 3060. It did have the i7 in there, but the i7, processor-wise, I always look at GPU above CPU in laptops. It didn't have a battery that stand out to me. The screen itself was good, perfectly fine. Going from the Acer Nitro 5 to this, I haven't really noticed that much difference. Definitely noticed a difference on the new machine that I got. It's got a 4K 60Hz panel. That is another story. But the simple fact that the Sword 15, I don't believe holds really any extra value over any other competitor. The longer that I've looked at 3060 laptops, the more I've come across that if you're trying to play particular games, it comes down to usually the wattage of the 3060, not so much the processor in there. I did try an i5 with a 10300H, which I think was a quad-core with hyper-threading. That was about as low down the chain as you'd really want to get. But that's also as low down the chain as any manufacturer is going to pair a 3060 with. So, in today's video I'm saying goodbye to the MSI Sword 15, and I'm moving on to a Metabox, which is the current one that I'm currently testing, which I managed to purchase second hand. And we'll be checking that one out in future videos. Hopefully get a review out soon. But sadly, in the most recent machines that I've tested out, I find it extremely difficult to recommend the Sword 15 purely for that value factor. I'll catch you later.